Greetings my dear friends, Dragon here once again. If it's your first time finding the channel, thank you for stumbling onto it, and do please consider clicking the red button and subscribing if you like what I do. Okay, today is going to be all about Chameleon Films, a pretty new label out of Australia who are doing incredible work, and a label that I've fallen pretty quickly head over heels in love with. I'm going to try and pick up every single release that they do. They are numbered spines. There's not too many labels that I try and kind of pick up every single one. For regular viewers, you'll know that the 88 Films Shaw Brothers range, I managed to kind of pick up every single one. Bluray, the Korean label, I've managed to kind of track down every one, and I think I'm going to add Chameleon into that very short, small little list of things that I try and track down every one of, because all three of these releases have been absolutely fantastic, and their next release has been announced too. So today we're just going to take a look at these three, do a quick little review of the films and the extras, and then speak about what's coming next from the label, because they have already announced their next two films, which are coming as one double pretty damn soon. But anyway, we'll get to that at the end. But for now, let us start at spine number one, which is Johnny To's Breaking News, made in 2004. And one that I was not that familiar with, actually. I thought I had seen this before. I had not. And this was absolutely a first time watch for me, and absolutely adored it. I think this has fast become my favourite Johnny To film of the ones that I've seen so far. He was pretty prolific, and is still pretty prolific, and I think had made an awful lot more movies than we were able to kind of get over here when I was a kid. So there's big holes in my sort of Johnny To kind of filmography. And this one was an absolute revelation. I think I found it really very, very gripping, kind of really incredibly well made, and very, very different in tone to quite a few of the other Johnny To movies that I'd seen. Some of the same themes, but explored in a very, very different way. So the film essentially kicks off with one long 7-minute continuous shot, immaculately staged, and very much in a kind of grounded, down-to-earth, almost sort of documentary or verite sort of style. And the police essentially are chasing after this gang of thieves, led by the incredibly charismatic Richie Jen, playing Yoon. And essentially the crooks get the best of the cops. The cops end up sort of surrendering. This is all captured by a camera crew who happen to be there by chance, and end up kind of catching some of the shootout, and the cops' subsequent surrender is all kind of caught on video, and then obviously screened on the news and massively embarrassing to the police. So the film kind of starts off with the police really having to kind of work out how to deal with this, how to kind of nip this in the bud really quickly, how to show that they aren't useless and ineffective, and that they can kind of catch the thieves. And so a young superintendent, played by Kelly Chen, she is, I think she's playing Superintendent Rebecca Fong. She has an idea that basically the best way to kind of deal with this is to take control of the media, so essentially kind of turn it into a PR war, so that they're going to really try and kind of paint the police in a very good light, so they kind of start working very closely with the media agencies and with the TV stations to basically almost make kind of like little puffer propaganda pieces to kind of show that they are doing everything that they can do to try and track down the crooks. And then the film sort of splits the narrative between spending time with the cops, and then you also spend a lot of time with the crooks too, which is, I think, where most of the fun for me really lay. They end up basically going and hiding out in this large kind of apartment block, sort of forcing their way into kind of one of the residents' apartments, played by Johnny To regular, the wonderful Lam Siu. So him and his family, he's a single dad raising 2 kids, and the crooks end up basically taking over his apartment, and then we kind of get this kind of wee hostage scenario playing out for the sort of second act of the movie. Really, really good. That's about as much as I kind of want to tell you story-wise, I think, because it would be best if you kind of go into this, if you haven't seen it, go into it pretty fresh, and you'll really, really enjoy it. It's a lot less stylized than a lot of other Johnny To films, which is not a bad thing. It's just a different way of him kind of presenting a movie, and I think the tone of it really worked for me. I kind of found it really gripping in a way that I sometimes can get a little bit disconnected from some of his more stylized work. This was very much kind of engaged from the get-go, and the action sequences within it, particularly the shootouts that take place in the apartment block, absolutely first rate, and kind of handled really well in terms of the villains are actually videoing the footage of them kind of getting one over the cops, and they start playing the cops at their own game and leaking those videos to the press, and it kind of goes back and forth. Just really gripping, really beautifully well put together, beautifully staged, and really zippy. It's a 90-minute movie, flies by, and I think one that I'll be revisiting probably every year. It's really, really, really good. The extras that they put together for it are perfect, absolutely perfect. We get a commentary by the wonderful Frank Jen, a propaganda duel, a new extended video essay on breaking news, newly translated and improved optional English subs, the Melbourne International Film Festival 2004 Q&A with Johnny To, and newly unearthed interviews from Cannes 2004 with Johnny To, Kelly Chen and Nick Chung, which I believe come courtesy of all the wonderful archives of Frederic Ambroisine, who anytime there's a chance for me to celebrate Frederic's work, I'm so happy that we're kind of seeing this in the West, because previously a lot of the really, really hard work that he's done for decades was ending up on releases predominantly kind of coming out of France, because that's where he's from, understandably. But it's great that we're kind of seeing so much of his stuff on the Arrow releases, the 88 releases, and now, yes, on the Chameleon releases. So his interviews from Cannes, absolutely fantastic. There's some behind the scenes footage, a deleted scene in Mandarin only, photo gallery, and a theatrical trailer. Pretty damn cool. And you may think, maybe it might be nice if they had a slipcase. Well, fear not. After releasing the films initially without slipcases, the company, who seemed to be incredibly invested in making sure that their fans are happy, ran a couple of polls on social media and have since announced that they're going to be doing slipcovers retrospectively for their first 3 releases, which you can order from their website. If you order at the same time as ordering their next title, you basically won't pay shipping on the new title, and it'll work out a bit more cost effectively. But yeah, the new slipcovers look absolutely beautiful. Slipcover for Breaking News is this one, and I think it'll be available at the beginning of March. And that is number 1. That is Breaking News. Then we move away from Johnny To, change country, and jump to Japan for spine number 2. And this is Timemachine Blues, a movie that had previously been released, I think, in the UK from Third Window, who also put out another film by the same writer, which I've previously reviewed on this channel, the wonderful Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes, which came a bit later. But yeah, same writer, who I think had worked on quite a few of these projects that started as a stage play and then got turned into a movie. And I think Timemachine Blues was exact same type of project. Started as a stage play with a kind of small cast, and then they put funding together and made the movie. So a little bit bigger budget, I think, than Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes, which was Beyond the Infinite was all shot on an iPhone. I think this feels a little bit more of a kind of more traditional setup of kind of crew and cast, some kind of much larger and more extensive uses of locations, and filmed really beautifully and just so much fun. Really, I think it's a very simple story, but just gets more and more layered as the film kind of goes on. But you have a group of friends who are all members of the science club at their school, at their high school, and it's a very hot day, they're playing baseball, and they come across a time machine randomly in the middle of their science club, and then kind of hijinks ensue as they start realising the limitations of that particular machine, if it's real, if it's a joke, what's going on, where it came from, all these sorts of things, and can they solve their biggest particular problem that day, which is the fact that they spilt Coke on their remote control for their air conditioner, so they're burning up, so they really want to kind of go back in time to fix their air conditioner remote. And again, that's about all I'm going to tell you as far as the narrative goes, because the performance is really, really good, very sweet, very heartfelt, and just really, really wonderfully staged. I think these kind of like quite low budget, quirky little sci-fi movies have been some of the most interesting stuff I've been seeing coming out of Japan. Although they're not that new movies, this was made in 2005, but a new one to me, and kind of finding them just really charming and really fresh. Like, this does not feel like it was made almost 20 years ago. It feels very, very fresh, kind of very inventive and really good fun. And again, some great extras they put together for this one. So we get a collector's booklet, which I didn't actually mention. There's also a really nice collector's booklet inside Breaking News too. Sorry, I should have mentioned, with a couple of different articles by Hayley Scanlon. And we also get an article by Mike Walsh, which is essentially a biographical essay of Johnny To. So yeah, sorry, so jumping back to Timemachine Blues, we get a wonderful booklet. All of the sleeves, incidentally, are reversible, so you can remove the Australian kind of age rating certificate. A nice unencumbered version of the cover on the other side. A booklet for Timemachine Blues gives us a synopsis for the movie. Again, Hayley Scanlon writing. She writes Nostalgia for the Future, Vidal Sassoon and the Endless Summer. I'm not going to explain the Vidal Sassoon reference, you'll get that when you see the movie, but it's pretty cool and very funny. And we also get just our credits at the back, so she's taken over the whole booklet for there. Very cool. We also get an on-disc interview with the writer, Makoto Ueda. There is a audio commentary, which I believe is in Japanese but with English subs, with the director Katsuyuki Motohiro and the writer Makoto Ueda with newly translated English subs. Teaser and theatrical trailer, so slightly less than we saw on Breaking News, but Not surprising, that was a much bigger production. This is still a relatively low budget film, so I'm very chuffed that we get any extras on it at all, and the commentary is very welcome, because there wasn't a commentary on Beyond the Infinite 2 minutes, and kind of really nice to kind of spend a bit more time with the writer, because he's an interesting dude. So that's spine number 2, and last of the releases that came out at the tail of last year. This is one that I think my buddy Flip absolutely adored. Flip Otaku mentioned this on one of the live streams I think he did with Ryan over at Disconnected, but slightly more star-studded cast. You see Anthony Wong on the cover there. We also get a whole bunch of other Johnny To regulars there. Lam Su's there. Simon Yam is there. We see Richie Jen, our villain from Breaking News, returning in a very small cameo, but essentially our main kind of crew is Anthony Wong, Francis Ning, Nick Chung, Josie Ho, and Roy Chung, the wonderful Roy Chung from Wild Search, and many other things. Just really nice kind of ensemble piece about kind of group of friends who are essentially kind of all really working in organised crime, have fallen foul of their big brother or their boss, who's been played by Simon Yam, and have been staying in Macau, I think, sort of exiled from Hong Kong, as the name of the film would suggest, and really a little bit more of a familiar Johnny To film in terms of exploring kind of the aspects of kind of brotherhood and loyalty amongst the gangsters and criminals, and essentially just really beautifully made. The other extreme from Breaking News, where Breaking News is very grounded, Exiled incredibly stylized. It was pretty wonderful pink mist anytime that anyone is shot, and the shootouts are pretty stylized, really well realised. A little bit more in the sort of Johnny Woo style than we saw from some of the other Johnny To movies. Actually, this one's a little bit more kind of gunplay, particularly with the sort of talents of a couple of the guys in the gang, very adept shooters, so they play around with that quite a little bit. And then the cameo that Richie Jen does too, again, he's meant to be an incredibly skilled marksman, which is all pretty good fun. And this is the most loaded in terms of special features. We again get our limited collector's booklet, and I think this time around it was by Stephen Teo. He said, "We'll meet again in the Jiangyu, Johnny To's Exiled." It kind of speaks through about the themes in the movie. Really pretty wonderfully done. I believe he teaches at the School of Communication and Information in Singapore, and has written quite a lot of books, or book-length studies of Johnny To, so certainly kind of knows his stuff. And he's backed up by an article by Dylan Chung, A Little Hard Work Never Killed Anybody, The Working Class Underworld of Johnny To's Exiled. Slightly shorter article, but still really well, very thoughtfully put together. And Dylan Chung is a writer and Cantonese English translator with a particular interest in Hong Kong and its cinema, based in Sydney. Starting so strong, they're doing kind of really nice kind of packages for the films in terms of extras. Like I mentioned, we'll retrospectively get slipcases for all 3, which all look really nice. I'm stoked that we're getting scannable cases. I wish every company would use these. I absolutely hate that little strip that you get at the top of those god-awful Bluray boxes. I wish every Blu-ray came like this. It should be standard. They're much nicer cases. Criterion use them, 88 use them for the Shaw Brothers titles, and most of the Chinese kind of premium labels all use this sort of style if it's not a steelbook case. I think they work really nicely. So yeah, all 3 beautifully presented. The slipcases, when they come through, are going to kind of really finish them off wonderfully. And then the next 2 titles are even more exciting to an awful lot of people than these first 3. 2 more Johnny To movies, but released in the same pack. So next up we're getting Election 1 and 2. Election 1 from 2005, Election 2 from 2006, again starring a whole bunch of Johnny To regulars. So Simon Yam is really very much there in a prominent part. Tony Lung Cafe, Louis Koo, Nick Chung from Exiled, and we also get Lam Su from both of those movies. Really, I think Lam Su is almost in everything Johnny To does, and is wonderful. You see him there on the front of the Exiled box. A huge thanks to the guys over at Chameleon for being so incredibly helpful. They sent me over loads and loads of different resources to use for the video, so all the images that you see here have kind of come courtesy of them. Do please check out the website down below, and you'll see the link down there. And that is it for the first 3 Chameleon titles. I will look forward to jumping into titles 4 and 5 when I get my hands on them. Thank you so much for watching this. Let me know if these are films that you picked up in the comments down below. If you're really enjoying the channel and you want to kind of help me keep the lights on, there is a Patreon with 3 different tiers on offer, loads of different benefits available. Thank you so much to those that have already subscribed. If you are able to help, even if it's just for a month or 2, I would very much appreciate it. Link to that is also down below. But that is us for today. I've been the Fanatical Dragon. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you on the next one. Take care.